You familiar with how this works? Have you ever done a podcast before?
As I mentioned, this is only the second that I've done that's not mine. So,
but you're
answer may as well be no.
You're familiar with the podcast format. Is that correct?
To a degree.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'm wishing you luck. All right. Here we go. Welcome back to the Tier1 Podcast. I am your host, Brent Tucker, owner of FRCC. Go to frcc.shop and use promo code FRCC15 to get 15% off the world's best coffee, cigars, and bourbon.
And I'm Drew Tucker, dictator at frcc.shop. Guys, I invite you to join our Patreon, brought to you by Cobalt Kinetics. We've got exclusive content behind the scenes. We've got a fitness forum and a gun forum where a Cobalt Kinetics gun expert is ready to answer all your gun questions.
And of course, this episode is brought to you by Human Performance TRT. Go to hp-trt.com for all of your testosterone and peptide needs. Start the new year off right. Be the best you in 2026. And the only way to do that is if your blood work is right and if everything is right. Otherwise, it's just an uphill battle that you'll never get in front of. So please do yourself a favor. Go to hp-trt.com, use promo code Tier1, and get 20% off and make 2026 your year. Drew, let's get into it.
Or new special forces ready.
Welcome to the Tier1 Podcast.
This is amazing, dude. Check this out, right?
And with us today, our guest is what some people are calling the podcaster savant of our generation, Dalton Fischer.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. I don't know who says that, by the way, but I'll take
I say it.
Okay.
I say it.
That's all that matters to me.
I'm making that a thing.
We'll take it.
First things first, I want to give you a gift.
Yeah. I know what this is.
That's from Brotherhood Blades. They make the best knives, and they're great guys. Oh yeah. It's got the Tier1 Podcast laser engraved on the blade to commemorate your time at the world's third best podcast. That's what I want on there, actually. World's third best podcast.
This is beautiful, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's got a little sheath too with a little carry.
Is Jersey going to let you have that? We'll check the legalities of that.
Yeah, you may have to ship this to me actually. So.
And we will. Yeah,
Thanks,
I know you're
Jersey.
flying.
This is awesome. Thank you, Brotherhood Blades.
Oh, man. Absolutely. It's kind of come full circle because a lot of people who honestly who know me from your podcast and sometimes you just get lucky in life. And for me, to be honest, that's how I feel. I got lucky going on your podcast, taking a chance on someone that was like, hey, like, would you do this? And I was like, sure. I didn't look into you. I didn't know who I was saying yes to. I just know a guy wanted to interview me, and you're like, hey, I'm just starting out. And I thought to myself, well, if people like me, if you will, don't give you a chance, and how you ever gonna make it? That's honestly a little bit of my thought. And I went on your podcast, and it was the best podcast I've ever been a part of. So thank you for that,
dude. Thank you. And I think that goes the other way. Like, I feel like I'm the lucky one because, and I don't know what you believe in and like that sort of serendipity. Like I reached out to you, and maybe if it was somebody else, they wouldn't have come on, that sort of thing. But gosh, man, like, yeah, my very first guest we'll talk about, but you were my very second. And right. I think I had like maybe 9,000 subscribers at the time. And dude, like, I appreciate, regardless of how big I ever get, I appreciate anyone that takes time away from their family, flies out, stays in a hotel, and takes time away from their business and sits down with somebody that, you know, like you said, you don't know who they are. So, man, I've told you this many times offline, but my show would not be where it is without you, and that's a fact. So, I think it's awesome, man. It's so cool to be sitting here now. So.
And so, just to brag on you a little bit, you're up to over 500,000 subscribers. You're just on a rocket pace. You'll be at a million. You know, it's a weird thing for grown men to be talking about. But for you now, especially for you, and for me, it's a business. So I mean, that is the data points of our business and growth. So of course it matters. And it's only a matter of time. You think you'll hit 1 million subscribers this year, 2026?
That's my goal, man. My goal last year, I think I started at just over 100, and I just set a lofty goal to hit 5, and I did.
Crazy.
You know, what's funny is I told myself, I was like, I'll buy myself a staccato if I hit 500,000 because it's never going to happen, and it did. Okay. So I think we're going to wait till SHOT Show and see what they come out with. Maybe if there's something nicer or newer. Anyway, but yeah, my goal for this coming year is 1 million. So we'll see. I think it's good to set big, audacious goals, regardless of whether we hit them or not. And like you said, man, the numbers they're just kind of a measuring stick. They're, as far as progress goes. Yeah. Like, I don't give a shit about money. I've never done it for the business. And I think that's why it's been successful, is because I don't care about that. I've foregone money in a lot of cases just to do what I think is best for the listener and best for the guest, and I'll continue to do that. And we could talk about some of that. Yeah. But it's cool to see, and I'm just happy people are enjoying it, and I'm super grateful that I've gotten to sit down with some amazing people and make friends with some amazing people too. Like, I'm grateful for the continued friendship for sure.
And if anyone we usually have veterans and law enforcement on this show. But we are building a community of Tier 1 people, and I've said that before. This isn't a show for Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 guys. We'd have about 6 episodes if that were the case. It's about building a Tier 1 community. I've said it before. Tier 1 fathers, Tier 1 husbands, Tier 1 workers, Tier 1 employees, Tier 1 friends. That you put the best version of yourself in everything you do. That's what you strive for. And I believe that you have a Tier 1 podcast, and I wanted you on the show because you fit the bill as a Tier 1 podcast, and you absolutely do. From your very first episode until now, the quality of your podcast is just top notch. And so, what I really want to talk about, because there's a lot of podcasting is not going anywhere; it's growing, and there's a lot of people that will. I never thought I would be a podcaster. Yeah. Did you ever think? Did you ever?
Not in a million years, no.
So there's another reason I want to do this episode, because that's how people may get their stories out. They may do it at a low level. They may be the next Sean Ryan, or Dalton Fischer watching this, and I want them to at least see where those steps came from, and how do you get there. I'm sure you get this all the time. People asking you, "Hey, like, how do you start a podcast? How did you do it?" Because people are always interested. I'm sure you get inundated with those questions
here and there. Yeah,
it's kind. I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth for a second. It's kind of annoying because no one really helped me, and no one did. Did you have someone that helped you through this process, or did you just learn it?
To a degree, but I think what you're getting at is, what kind of question are you going to ask? And how much research have you done before you brought it to me?
Exactly.
And it's like, I think that I would love to help people. Anyone that wants to reach out, I would love that. But if it's with something that you clearly haven't thought through, right? Like I am obsessed with what I do. It just so happens to be my thing now. And so like I appreciate when people are obsessed with something. So that's the kind of energy that I would like to surround myself with. Yeah. And not to say that I'll turn anybody down. I answer everyone that reaches out to me. Yeah. But I think that's what you're getting at.
Absolutely. Yeah. If someone comes like, "Hey, what camera should I use?" And it's not in a weird way. I'll answer the question. But it's much different when someone's like, "Man, should I use a webcam like a Brios, or should I use a mirrorless cam like a Sony A7?" And that's a question I'm like, yeah, let's talk about this. Like, because the only way you'll really get that answer is from someone with experience. But if you haven't looked into it at all, it's very, and there's so much information out there.
Yeah, and dude, the only thing, like, I'm not an interesting person. Like, I don't find myself to have an interesting story. And there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe they're not necessarily interested in how to build a podcast because there's a lot of podcasts, but like by comparison, population wise, not everybody's going to want to hear about that. But what I think the important part is whatever your thing is in life, people have these thoughts that float around in their head and they don't execute on them for a number of reasons. Yeah. And then what happens one day is you wake up with the regret of having not done something. And that is like my biggest fear in life. So that's the reason I started it is to minimize that regret. And I think it just proves the point. Like, man, if you're obsessed with something and you make a lot of sacrifices and you are willing to be laughed at or ridiculed or whatever comes with putting yourself out there like this, like, I don't have any media training. I don't know how camera works. I don't know how sound works. I don't know how to edit. Like, I had zero experience, no connections whatsoever. But like, if you put your mind to doing something and don't give yourself the excuse or don't give yourself an out, then you can do whatever you want in life. So I think that would be the takeaway. I hope that's the takeaway.
Absolutely. Even to this degree is I've changed my mind a little bit through experience and what I've seen and what the new reality is living in this generation. I think kids should start podcasts. Drew, your daughter, is messing around in the podcast world a little bit,
Sure
right?
Is. Sure is.
Talked to her a little bit over Christmas about that.
Yep, she's doing a good job.
And this is what I like about that, but it goes back to intention. Is your intent to start a podcast because you want to be famous, because you want to make money, because you want to be popular? Those are horrible reasons to start a podcast, and you will fail.
Yeah.
But if your kid wants to start a podcast, and make sure that, hey, what are you passionate about? What do you want to learn more about? What do you want other people to know about? And hey, if no one watches, no one watches. But if 5 people watch, that's awesome. But what they'll learn from having to get the whole experience of essentially building a small business, starting the YouTube channel, the photo editing process, whether it be on Canva, or whatever, and seeing that idea through to a product, that's huge on a young person's life. And so if the intent is to do it right and they're not upset because they're not popular, but they're just there to put out information, and encourage your kids to do it. Actually, they'll learn a ton.
I agree, and I think it's you have to love the process because the chances are you're not going to be successful if you go into it with the idea of making money. Like, nobody starts a podcast to get rich, man. That's not how it works. I hate to break it to anybody that's thinking about it out there.
Unless you're already rich and popular.
Exactly.
That's the only way
then you
it
can
works.
sell anything, though.
That's
you can
right.
be a celebrity and start a furniture company and
Right.
be a billionaire. But
Yeah.
that's the thing, man. If you want to do something for money or if you want to do it for fame or any of those reasons, you have to love the process. I'll just speak from YouTube and podcasting. By all conventional YouTube logic, take somebody like Mr. Beast. He'll tell you, like, nobody's going to see your stuff for a really long time.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen when you're continuously putting yourself out there on a weekly basis and you're staying in on Friday nights to do edits that no one sees?
That's right.
It's hard enough when people do see it and you know that there's a payoff coming. But when nobody's watching and you're thinking about what everybody else thinks of you and you're like, oh, this guy's a freaking weirdo. Nobody's watching his stuff, but he's doing it anyway. You have to love the process because that's what's going to happen. You're not going to blow up overnight.
And I think it's another good thing. It sounds weird to say this, but for young people, even young adults, to put yourself out there, go through this process, go through all of this hard work, and then you know what's going to happen as soon as you put out a product? Negative comments. Yeah. All that hard work, and you're just trying to do your best to do something, and people are just going to start, this is trash. Why'd you do this? I hate this. They'll they have no idea who you are. You have no idea how hard you worked on this, and they'll just trash it. And I hate to say it because it sounds so heartless. Good. Little Jocko quote there. Good. They don't like your podcast? Good. Because how can you handle this? Because if you can't handle a couple negative comments, then you're not. Then you definitely don't want to become more popular because just a lot more negative comments come with it.
It's just something that's part of the deal. And like when you sign the dotted line and start something up like this, that it's a necessary evil, and you have to be prepared for that. And you can't have it both ways. I think we talked about this. There's a lot of validity in the comments sometimes. And what the issue is trying to discern what is just somebody who's really unhappy with their life versus like, oh, the sound sounded a little off, or like the video looked a little off. Like those are valid.
Yeah.
But I think we as humans are not built for that sort of scrutiny at scale on the internet. Like we're just physically, our brains are not built for that.
It's tough. But then again, I don't think some comments can be so bad and so mean they're funny. In fact, I have one of my favorite. I showed it to you last night. Yeah. One of my favorite comments. I wish I'd been more prepared for it. We'd pull up on the screen. I was on the Andy Stump podcast, and someone wrote a comment. It goes, while Brent's in Montana, I hope he dies in a structure fire, so that way we never have to hear his voice again. It was so mean and so over the top. It made me laugh. I was like, that's. I wasn't even mad at it. Like that's kind of funny.
But that's a crazy thing to say.
That's a crazy thing to say.
Like you would never walk up to someone in the street and say what you just said in a YouTube comment to them. You would be committed.
For sure.
Dude, I think of the clearest example is like women on Instagram, these like models or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Some of the nasty comments they get, like if you walked up to a girl on the street and be like, hey, you're fat and disgusting, I hope you kill yourself. Like you deserve to be thrown in something, I don't know.
Right.
Not actually, to clarify, but that's crazy. Like you would never say something because you're not a psychopath, but on the internet, the internet is not a real place. That's what you have to remember.
Absolutely. But anyway, so with all that at hand, what made you want to do? What were you doing at the time? And then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna do a podcast.
Yeah. So around I think it was 2020. After all that happened, I started working fully remote, and by extension, started like consuming a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
And like interview style stuff, self-improvement stuff, a lot of that, and started watching people like Sean Ryan, like, there was a lot of good people out there, but, yeah, man, eventually I just kind of felt some like slight pull to do one of my own. Mm-hmm. And like, I honestly couldn't even tell you why. Okay. Couldn't really even tell you why. I just thought it was like, man, if I could do anything in the world, like, or who would I be? I would be Joe Rogan. Like that guy gets to talk to the most interesting people in the world every day. And so like, and going back to just not having the regret of not doing it, I decided to do it. And again, it was a long process from that initial decision, which wasn't fully baked, to actually like buying equipment and letting it rip. But that's how it happened, just by extension of watching other stuff.
There's two things that jump out at me about as I thought about more your journey more holistically, because you're going to be a guest, and that have been in front of my face the whole time. And in fact, we just kind of mentioned something earlier. Don't start a podcast to be rich and famous unless you're already rich and famous. Like oddly enough, that you will get a lot of views and money. But like I said, you can sell furniture; it doesn't matter. But even on a lower scale, you talk about Joe Rogan. Well, Joe Rogan was already rich and famous. To some degree, he was known, of course, but not everyone. Everyone always sees who he is now and doesn't look back. He's been doing this for years when it wasn't.
He's the Godfather, popular. Man. You and I wouldn't be sitting here doing this if it wasn't for him. So it's different. He invented the category.
There is some truth to that, but he is a popular person. He became more popular with UFC. He had a lot of things going for him.
Yeah.
So he wasn't a nobody that started it. And even for me, when I say I wasn't I had relationships and connections. So if I want to call a Delta Force guy, I can do that. Like you cannot. Yeah, I was in the community. So,
and you have the background for yourself,
right? And I have a background to give an opinion that some people care about. Yet you had neither one of these, and your podcast is wildly more popular than mine. I mean, that's crazy in some aspect.
But
why is that?
Well, I think it could be explained by it's not about me. It will never be about me. And like I don't even like talking about myself. Like I'm here because I wanted to come smoke cigars with you. Like the podcast is just a thing that we're doing.
Right.
But if for anybody that watches my show, like I make it entirely about the guest. My job is to keep my mouth shut, ask good prepared questions, steer the conversation in a direction that I know the listeners are going to want to hear. And like, I want to get to the point where like, you forget that I'm there until the guest stops talking fully. And that's when you hear me ask another question, and that's it. So if you think about it that way, then my expertise or my background, like, and I guess it does matter to some people. Like I'll see some comments like, oh, what's Dalton's background?
Yeah.
But for the sake of what I'm trying to put out, it's your life story. So my background, as long as I treat you respectfully, as long as I'm in the know, as long as I'm well prepared and I do a good job of doing my job,
right? To
me, my background is not super relevant. And I think it speaks to the fact that for most people, it's not, because there's like people are starving for interviewers to just shut the fuck up and get out of their guests' ways.
Right. And
dude, it drives me, I don't want to get off on like an angry tangent right now, but it drives me nuts. It really does. And I hate to have it be like, it's just true. That's one of the reasons that I started my show. So I was like, you have Brent Tucker on your show and you just can't shut up. You're interrupting this man. You're asking him about something that nobody wants to hear about. Like, like, what are we doing here? So it's like, you're wasting people's time. And it's like, it kind of comes off as like pompous or arrogant, but I was like, well, I could do this. And then the other part of me was like, well, then do it, you big pussy. So like, that's where we are.
Exactly. And it's when you find successful people, you'll find they have so much in common, regardless of what they're successful at. And it's just this pride, but pride can be a bad thing. I always like, there's a hint of pride that's healthy. That pride that says, I can do it better. That pride says, I know. From the outside, it looks like I shouldn't feel this way, but I do feel this way, and I'm going to prove it to everyone. But that's and you don't tell anyone that. It's just how you feel, and then it drives you to go out and do that. And whether what you're doing right now in life, but what you're talking about was my exact mentality when I was an air defender. It's like I'm going to be a Green Beret, and if I'd have said that out loud, they'd be like, "No, you're not. No, you're settle down, Brent. No, you're not." And if you'd have told anyone, you know what, I'm gonna make a living podcast and I'm gonna get 500,000 followers in a year, and then be like, no, you're not. Sit down. But you didn't say that. You just went to work and proved it. And I love that mentality. That's a tier 1 mentality. It is. So how do you come out the gates? You did something that I wouldn't. That I don't suggest to people, yet there's always like exceptions to the rule. But I want to ask this because I'm interested, maybe some of this happened before you went public. I always tell people, don't buy the $1,000 cameras. Yeah. Don't buy the $1,000 microphones. Don't drop $10,000 on a pod. You can easily drop $10,000 on a podcast.
Easy, yeah.
And if really that's that's truly your starter set. I mean, you can buy, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. And so I tell people, buy a cheap camera, buy a cheap microphone, do it cheap, do quality content like that. That doesn't take money. And if the content is there, you will slowly build it up and the money comes in, reinvest in. And then if you find out this is something I want to do for a long time, then go all in. Yeah. But it seems like from episode 1 that you just went all in on this thing, or was there a little bit of a build-up process that none of us saw, or did you just like, I'm going all in because this is what I'm going to do it the best right off the bat?
Well, dude, honestly, I mean, like to a degree, but my first cameras, and like I've just upgraded, and that's why I have 7 now because I bought 4 new ones. But my first 4, or the first time I think when you came, I had 3 angles. I had 3 cameras.
I believe so. And
they were not expensive cameras. They were like $700 a body.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with it.
I mean, that's the thing is like, it's easier to sit here now and, as someone who it is like knock on wood working out for a little bit. I don't want to sit here and like, and talk like I'm some big thing, because I'm not, but there is some momentum, right? But there's no guarantee of that happening. And if you look at it on a statistic basis, it will not happen. So if you think about it, like, do you want to drop 15 grand on something that's never going to materialize? And I've done it a million times in my life with like other hobbies and stuff, right? Like you're like, oh, I think I want to get into like scuba diving. Do you have to buy all the most expensive shit right away? Right. Because then it's going to sit in your garage for 3 months or after 3 months and you're never going to touch it. But yeah, my first setup, it wasn't anything crazy. It's still not anything crazy. And I would say to people, just like be obsessed with the details, because you can make a very low budget setup look and sound very good if you sit there and just painfully tweak all the settings and spend like, dude, I can't even tell, like, it's almost embarrassing the amount of time I spent up there just like doing these minor changes that you would never notice on video, but like I would. And so you dial in your lighting, you dial in like everything acoustically in the room, and you can do things in a cheap manner. Like, dude, I built acoustic panels with my dad. Yeah. Do stuff like that. Like, because it's not proven out in the beginning yet. Like you don't know if it's going to be a thing or not. And it probably won't. So no, don't go crazy, and you don't have to.
Here at the Tier 1 Podcast, we're excited to have Tasty Gains as a sponsor, a company with values that aligns with ours. I take their products every day, 3 times a day. And if it wasn't a product that I didn't take personally and believe in, and a company with integrity, then they wouldn't be sponsors on this show. Creatine helps the body produce more ATP, which is an energy molecule that your entire body runs on. It helps improve your physical and mental performance in all aspects of life. Let's be honest, creatine powder sucks to take every day. With the creatine gummies, you can take them with you anywhere, and they taste great. Every batch is third-party tested, so you know you're getting exactly what you pay for. Go to tastygains.com and enter the promo code Tier1, that's TIER, the number 1, and get 20% off your order. I completely agree with that. You can do it cheap, but you can do it cheap and professional, and that's just a matter of caring. You know, you want to put a webcam in your bedroom and look like you're doing a podcast in your bedroom. Like, your content may not matter, because it may be like, I don't know, this person is just talking in their bedroom. It costs $20 to put a curtain up behind you, and it's a little bit better. You know, just being creative, and like I said, and just being relentless about the details. Hey, I may not have that much money, but what's the most I can do with the least amount of money? I mean, that mindset. You take those 2 different people that are just, you know, this is what you got, and that other person with that mindset. And one will be successful, and the other one, and it won't be money that's the difference. It's just their willpower.
And I think it depends. It depends on what you're going for too. Like what I was going for, the 2-person sit down interview style. Like, man, I always use Sean as a case study or an example.
Yeah, as
and
you
like,
should.
And again, for people that haven't heard me say this, like, he inspired me to start my show. If you watch my show, you'll know that because it's very obvious. But I think he's a perfect example, because he didn't invent the special operations interview. There was a lot of people doing it before him, but he just did it so much better that it wasn't even remotely close. And that's why he's gotten so much bigger than everyone else that does it. Yeah. So it's like, I think that for me, it was kind of just like some basic like market analysis. If you're going to start a restaurant, you're okay, what's all the other restaurants on the block? I'm going to go eat at this one. What do I like about this place? What do I not like about this place? Like, what would I sell if I started in mine? What are the customers saying? You go to the Yelp reviews, AKA the YouTube comments. I learned a lot from reading other people's YouTube comments. Yeah. Just stuff like that, man. And it's like, okay, how do you stand out? You just put in more effort, because I know that not everyone is going to be obsessed with their podcast and go all in on it. And I love that, because I am. And whoever out there is, like, dude, and like, I know I'm rambling now, but no. I think you've heard Dana White say this.
That's the first thing I thought of.
His quote is like, if you have just 1 degree of savage in you these days, you're gonna fucking blow past everyone, because everyone's a pussy and nobody wants to work. And that's his way of saying it. Right. But
he's upset. Well, no, he's not upset. He's talking about people are upset. There's so many sheep in the world, and that, like, no one's a go-getter, and that's, people are upset about this generation and their lack of tenacity. And he just views it through another angle, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? I would love." That means if you're a lion, and today you don't have a lot of lions to compete with. He's like, there's actually more opportunity in this weak society because of that. And I love that viewpoint. He's absolutely right.
It's true, man. People think like, it's so saturated. How am I going to stand out? Like, dude, it's never been easier to succeed. Saturated by numbers, not by quality.
Right.
And again, I don't want to I don't want to make it. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm sitting here and like, talking crap or something like that. But it's kind of just the truth.
It is the truth. And I think, and there's also plenty of room for everyone. So what I hope this does, if people hear this and they're not, they don't think that, we're actually encouraging people that there's plenty of room in this market. Not everyone's doing it well. And if it's something you're interested in, this is how you do it. Do it well. And there's room for you too.
100%. Be obsessed with it. Go in on it.
Be obsessed with it. The first guest you got was a CIA operative.
Yes.
Right after not one podcast.
Yeah.
And you're like,
dude,
I'm gonna have America's Secret Warriors on my show. How does that come about?
So the long story short is when I first was thinking of starting my show, one of the first things I did is I reached out to people who I thought did it well.
Okay.
Because it's very we're sitting here talking like this now, but it is really overwhelming in the beginning. It just, it takes time and you'll get there, but you just do it a little bit at a time and don't let it overwhelm you. But because of that, one of the first things I did was reach out to people in the space that I thought did it well. I think I called Sean Ryan. He didn't answer. And one of the people I reached out to was Danny Jones. Are you familiar with him? Mm-mm. He's got a big podcast on YouTube. And I had reached... I called him just out of the blue, and he picks up, and I forget what I said, but it was something like, hey man, this is going to be like, I know I'm catching you off guard here, but I think I'm starting a podcast. I would like to start a podcast. Yours is awesome. Would you be willing to have a conversation with me about kind of, what you wish you would have known, that sort of thing? And he's like, this is kind of weird. Let me go. I'm at the gym. So dude, I was like, totally understandable. Thank you for your time. And dude, it was 2-3 months that passed by. And one day I get an email from him out of nowhere. And it was like, hey man, what's your story again? Just out of nowhere. Yeah. And we start going back and forth. And anyway, I started helping him, because that's what I did for a living, is sales. So I started helping him do guest outreach and try to convince them to come on the Danny Jones podcast. Okay. And that's another thing I'd recommend to people is just provide value to people and do not ask for anything in return. If you want to be associated with someone that's doing something really well that you want to emulate, provide value to them and do not ask for anything in return, and be genuine about it. Be genuine about the fact that you want to help him out, because what happened with him is that's what I did. And eventually he said, hey man, well, how can I help you? Yeah. And I said, well, this is all really overwhelming. If I could come out to Tampa and see your studio and see how everything is wired into everything, that might help me get a better visual idea of how to tackle this. And he's like, sure, come out. I have an episode, May, whenever it was. And he happened to be recording with John Kiriakou. So we met then. John and I took an Uber to the airport together afterwards because our flights were leaving around the same time. And we had coffee at the airport and a really good conversation for 2 hours. And he's like, why are you out here? And I told him, I was like, I'm starting on my own show. And I was just Danny was helping me out with some stuff. And I just shot my shot, man. I was like, dude, when I get it going, I would love to have you. And to his credit, he said yes. And that could have, he said yes to be polite when you're sitting in an airport bar with a guy having a cup of coffee.
Right. Just sent it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the worst you can say? No.
Well, exactly. Right. But that was my moment when I decided to send it and invest in all the equipment. And then I called him 2 months later and he said, yes, let's do it. So things have just come together in such a crazy way. And I think going back to what you said, just about the luck piece of it and that sort of thing,
So it's funny you mentioned Danny Jones. I think that's an awesome story. He's a guy with over 1 million subscribers, but he had John on as his guest, as that's where you met him. I doubt you've looked, but don't worry, I looked for you. Do you know how many views John's podcast got with Danny Jones?
I don't.
500,000.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. Do you know what your interview got with John Kiriakou?
Which one? The most recent one?
The one several years ago, the 3 hour. Have you done
I've had
two
them
with
twice.
them?
The second one,
twice.
the most recent one was actually bigger. If that's where you're getting at.
Okay. The second one.
That one was 3 months ago, and I think it's at 2.7.
2.7 million.
On the main episode.
2.7 million.
Crazy.
Now you're gonna make me do math 5 times more. I know you're not going to hear that. I'm not dogging. Yeah, that's not a hit on.
Max heard dog.
I know. I'm coming back to it.
Get in here, brother.
I'm not. Yeah. Max, lay down. What are you doing? Now we got to edit this out.
Why? Why do you? People love it. I love it. Are you kidding me?
I'm not dogging Danny Jones.
Right.
Is this? Oh, did you think dogging was your cue, Max?
Dogging.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is.
I'm just. It's just numbers. It's just data. He's had years, for his episode to accumulate. And it's something to be proud of. It is. It's a data point that you're doing something right, and that the student has become the master.
Dude, I'm just honored that like people would watch my stuff. Like I don't care how many it is. Like 2.7 million is a lot cooler than 500. Like obviously,
yeah.
But I appreciate it, man. It's awesome to see. Yeah. So
and I bet Danny Jones is proud of you for that. If you were to see that, and he'd be like, "Man, that's the kid that that called me up randomly that one day, and they came out and I showed the studio, and this is what he's doing." I mean, it's got to be good for him to be like, I'm glad my time wasn't wasted that I invested into this guy.
I hope he thinks that way.
I'm sure.
I mean, dude, yeah, he's just that introduction alone and him being gracious enough to have me out there. And, it was a massive help because just to be able to start out of the gate like that was, John, and dude, John is like, do you know his story or not really?
No.
He blew the whistle on the enhanced interrogation program in like 2008. But and ended up going to prison for it. But he's like a big hitter, man. He's an incredible talker. But he's been on all the major news networks. He was like a regular on Tucker Carlson, that sort of thing. So he was that guy.
Yeah.
Prior to like that was my first interview, and which again in hindsight was perfect because he's an amazing talker. So all I have to do is sit there and shut up and let him talk.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which oddly enough is a lost art. I mean, it's crazy, but one of the biggest things you'll see, for people, you'll see it all the time. Stop interrupting the guest. Stop interrupting the guest. Just let the guest tell a story. It's and this to me this is a little bit different. My podcast is a little more conversational, so I like to have a back and forth. But if your podcast is for a guest to, well, then that's not. Sometimes I have a podcast where it's for a guy to tell a story, and you're right. And the only thing I really have to do is shut up. And just wait for him to get done talking, and just ask another question and let him rant. Right, because that's just what he's here to do. It's his story.
Like you can be conversational and still not interrupt somebody. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of dude, when I had you on, if you and I were sitting in a coffee shop and you're just like talking to me for 20 minutes on end, and I'm just like looking at you nodding, you're gonna be like, this guy is a psychopath.
This guy's a social retard.
That's not how it works in real life. So you have to suppress all those urges to jump in and convey to people that you're communicating. And eventually it's just weird, man. It's not a natural human conversation. And you have to resist the urge to jump in because every time you say, or you cut somebody off, it's not good for what you're doing.
The second person you had on your show, you go from a CIA operator to a Delta Force, a CIA operative to a Delta Force operator, which was me. And I don't like, oddly enough, I don't mind telling my story or something, but I don't like you. I don't like talking about me a whole lot and having to be like, you had a great second guest. But
I did though.
I think people, they're watching because they know you. They're watching because they know me. And so this is where our stories, our lives intersect was that episode. And we've been friends ever since. I don't talk to everyone. In fact, I don't talk to most people that I've been on a podcast with or for. Don't get me wrong, if they reached out to me, I've always had good experiences and I'll be like, oh, great to hear from you again. But I don't keep in contact with them the way we do.
I know.
So how'd you find me?
Well, and dude, first of all, like I agree. Like it's been so cool because I don't either. And to your point, like I would in some case, I just know people are busy and they're living their lives. But there's some people that come on my show that I truly enjoy hanging out with outside of recording. And like you're obviously one of those people. But sorry, what was the question that you asked me?
How'd you find
Before
me?
I started kissing your ass?
How'd you find me?
Yeah. You had given a couple interviews at that time. I think it maybe Team House.
Okay.
Or something like that. It was around that time period.
And then do you remember how you got a hold? Finding someone is one thing, but as a podcaster,
And I'm glad
as
Drew's
I know,
here because I do remember.
getting a hold of someone is a completely different story.
Yeah, and getting a hold of Brent Tucker and keeping a hold of him are two different things for sure.
Yeah. I'm fairly easy to get a hold of. I'm really hard to keep a hold of. I know that.
So yeah, I do remember. I found, well, at the time, I think I sent you an email and I don't recall that you responded. So what I did, again, persistence, I think there was a number associated with FRCC at the time.
Okay.
And I called that number and I think it was Drew. No, I don't think it was Drew. It was Drew.
Yeah, it was
Do you
me.
remember this, Drew?
I
By
don't.
chance? Okay. All right. Just
Drew and I had a conversation and I told him like, that I was looking to find Brent and that sort of thing. I can't remember exactly what we talked about. We talked a little bit about FRCC. It wasn't like a 30-second call. It was like a 2-3 minute call. Like we had an actual conversation and then he put me in touch with you after that.
okay.
So that's how I recall
I
it.
do remember. I think I remember saying Dalton who.
Can I take a message?
It's funny I'm not sure if I've ever shared all this. Well, I do remember talking to you. I do remember putting a date and saying yes to it. And one of the things I remember saying yes to, it was kind of one of those dates that was months in advance.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just easier, and I just have a bad habit of this. And I go, oh, it's a couple months ago away. Schedule's open. What's open now? It'll be completely full then. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I can make that happen. And I had kind of forgot about it until like a couple days before, a week before. You might even reached out to me and be like, hey, you still good to go? And I'm like, oh,
You're like,
who is this guy and what did I agree to? I forgot. And then have I ever told you all this? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Go on.
And then I'm like, okay, I assumed it was a remote because I hadn't heard of you. You were just starting a podcast. I kind of remember that. Yeah. It was like, and you're like, no, I got you. Where do you want to fly in from? And I'm like, oh, great. This is actually, I've already agreed to it. It's too close to cancel. And now I got to fly into this. I was like, well, I mean,
I'm Newark.
I'm a man of my word. I said I was going to do it. So I wasn't that upset about it, but I just had forgotten the details.
Yeah.
And so no, I'm flying out, and I meet you out there, and it's just another one of those life stories. I wasn't overly excited about doing it. I traveled when I kind of didn't want to travel because I'd traveled just before that, had to travel after that. Now I'm doing this thing that, just because I said I would do it, and what I think is a favor to you. Now, 2 years later, I get to look back and you gave me the biggest favor, and I wouldn't have had that if I didn't do something for someone. In fact, people still think I was on the Sean Ryan podcast. I know. Oh man, I loved you on the Sean Ryan podcast, and at first it confused me, but I'm like, who was on the Sean Ryan podcast they're confusing me for? And it took me a little bit to realize, no. And they're like, no, it was definitely you, Brent Tucker.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I was on the Dalton Fischer podcast.
Dude. Yeah, what a compliment for my second podcast ever.
Right. Yeah, what a compliment.
You can't, I don't know. It's harder to replicate than you think.
Right. So that's how that happened from my side of the story. But I recognized it right away. I didn't know it was going to be a long form podcast. I'd never done a long form podcast before. They'd always been those hour podcasts. Do you remember 3-4 hours? It was a 2 episode
that we did.
Yeah,
we did
podcast.
6 hours, and I just cut it into 2-3 hours.
Yeah, and I do remember just I enjoyed your questions. Like I recognized that you let me tell my story. And that the questions I could tell that you had done your research by your questions, and the questions you gave me were almost like softball questions to allow me to go deeper into something that I should, or allow me to answer it in a way that was just easy to answer. And so I knew right off the bat then that was going to be a good one. But it wasn't until I saw like the final like editing episode of it that you weren't just good at asking questions. Like that you were obsessed with this and you were good from start to finish. And I haven't done another long form one since. I don't know if I will. You've ruined me.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be the guy that ruined you. It's an honor. And I appreciate you saying that stuff, man. Really. It's it's crazy. It's one of those things where, it's like, you're like, I committed to it.
Yeah.
I agreed to go out and fly to this guy with like 8,000 subscribers. Nobody's probably going to see this. Is it going to be worth my time that I'm taking away from FRCC, that I'm taking away from my family? And you're doing that calculus in your head where you're like, I could just cancel. And dude, I got to tell you, a lot of people would. A lot of people would. And there would be, I wouldn't have faulted you for that.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
And you're a man of your word and you showed up anyway. So that's like, that speaks to your character.
And we went from that. Drew, can you pull up an Instagram? In fact, what was that? A little over a year ago?
Last summer, I think.
Last summer, not even. We went from two strangers awkwardly talking in a podcast studio to this was just a few months ago. I went out to New York City to their ESU. Pull up the picture, if you will. And of course, I'm in your backyard, so of course, when I say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because we've kept in contact, and you're like, "Hey, I'm not doing a whole lot. Do you mind if I come out to the SWAT training?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Let's come on." And so Dalton came out to the SWAT training with the ESU, and there I am in the shoot house, talking to the boys on a run. Go to the next picture. What's even cooler than that is we needed a role player. We needed some extra role players. And if you look behind me, there's Dalton. There's his helmet right there being that was a barricaded you were a barricaded shooter for that one. And you did it all day for us, getting shot up by sim rounds all day. And that was really cool. If you've ever been to any of my tactical training classes, then you know how adamant I am about the use of white light and the importance of a quality, high-powered tactical light. That's why I use cloud defensive tac lights. You can't hit what you can't see, and neither can the bad guys. Clearly identify your target and simultaneously overwhelm his vision with hundreds and even thousands of lumens. Get serious about defending yourself and your family. Go to clouddefensive.com and use promo code Tier1 to get 30% off your order. That's right, 30%. You won't find a better light than this, and you won't find a better deal than this. Do you remember what happened as soon as we showed up to the facility? Me and you showed up at the gate guard. The gate guard guy was like, "Hey, Dalton Fischer, love your podcast."
He was watching the John Kiriakou episode as I pulled up. I remember that.
Yes.
That was funny.
And he was watching it at the time.
Yeah.
And just not even a year later, we go from that to people at ESU know you by name and know the content. And
Dude,
I know
that was so much fun, man.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. But yeah, I remember how it happened because you were like, "What are you doing?" And then I was like, "I'm free. Let's get dinner." And you happened to be at dinner with two of the boys. Or going to dinner, so I met you guys, and then that's when they said like, "Oh, we're short a role player," and jokingly I was like, "Oh, you need somebody to come get shot with some sim rounds," and they like look at each other like, "You want to?" And I was like, "Sure," like
yeah.
So that's how it happened, and God, that was so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. I'm so glad.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think we did it two. Did we do it two? Did you come out 2 days in a row for us?
Well, the first day, you remember what happened the first day?
That's right. The first day, right in the middle of training, and a guy comes in. They were supposed to have 2 days blocked off because they're busy, as you'd imagine. The New York City SWAT guys are busy, and but they were supposed to have other people covering down on them, so they could finally train. They don't get a lot of time to train because they're so busy. So they're excited about training, and then this was day one of training, and a guy comes in and is like, "Hey, we got to go." And they're like, "Well, no, what do you mean we got to go?" Like, we have an off-duty police officer that's been shot, active shooter, running rampant in New York City. It's time to go, boys. and they loaded up the truck and they were gone in about 5 minutes. Hop on helicopters. I mean, it was just right out of a movie, just gone. And there's just me and you. Like, well, what do we do for the rest of the day?
I've never seen someone have so much FOMO in my entire life. That was hard to watch.
I actually went over to their bread truck they were going to drive off on, and I saw that there were no one was in the passenger door, and so I tried to open the passenger door, and I was just going to sit in the passenger door, and if no one told me no, I was just going to go with them.
Sorry, guys. I'm here now, though.
But it was locked.
Oh my gosh!
And so then I went and I kind of started hanging out inside the back of the bread truck. But so many guys started getting on it. Then I started feeling like I was in the way. More guys got on than I thought were going to, and I was like, "Well, I guess I should get out of their way and just accept that no one needs me today."
Oh, you sure you guys don't need me?
Oh man, that was I kind of forgot about that.
Crazy
that
to
was,
see though, man. And that was a big one too. That was the Blackstone shooter.
Yeah, that's right. And that is their reality, and that's their reality. They don't have necessarily an active shooter every day, but those boys are busy. And I really enjoyed training them because they're going to use that training. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when for those guys. And they were great. They're exactly who you would think would be protecting New York City. Just studs that do a thankless job, but they're not there for the thank. You know, they're not there for the glory. You wouldn't even know who they were, that you were sitting at dinner next to them, that they essentially protect New York City every day, and you don't even know it. It's cool.
They're spread very thin too. They do a lot of work.
They're spread
and they're
thin
great.
and getting after
They're
it.
great people too, man. Like
I
I still keep in touch with. I guess we probably shouldn't say his name, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what is.
The R word?
No, the other word.
Okay.
The D word.
Yeah.
Great people. Great people.
The best. In fact, I ran into him at SHOT Show. Is actually how I ran into him, and it's funny because I did a history of SWAT episode, and in my history of SWAT episode, I was trying to do. I did something on LA SWAT because they're kind of the grandfathers of modern day SWAT, or the founding fathers of modern day SWAT, and I got to thinking of big city SWAT teams, and I realized. New York firefighting is it. I mean, that's the big one. But no one really knows about the New York SWAT team. Like I've never really heard of. I haven't heard much about them. So I started looking into them, and that's when I looked into, and found the ESU. And then there's a team within the ESU called the A team, or the apprehension team. And so I was like, okay, I got a hold of this. Let me just keep pulling the string and I'll find out more. And I didn't find out much about them at all. And I even said that on the podcast. Like, I don't really know. I can't find out anything about these guys. I don't know about them. And I thought that was pretty cool, actually, that they've kept their anonymity. And these two guys come up to me at SHOT Show, and they're like, "So you don't know much about the A team, huh?" And I'm like, and no context to the conversation, and I'm like, "What?" And it's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, you don't know much about the ESU A team, huh? And I was like, no, I don't. Yeah, I'm catching on, I don't. And then we ended up having this conversation, and they're from there. I'm like, oh man, and I was fanboying on them. I was like, can I come train you guys? I want to know. I want to know more. Yeah. And they're like, and it took a couple months, but it was well worth it. In fact, I don't revisit teams a whole lot because there's so many teams I haven't been to, and I try to keep it fresh and new. I'm coming back out to hang out with them, and I might need a role player.
I think I might know a guy
who works for cheap.
Yeah, I think you might need a sim rifle this time though to even the score. You know, that Glock 19, it's accurate enough, but it ain't the same.
You watch your mouth about a Glock. You can do anything you need to do with a Glock.
So whatever you want to me, just not that.
Let's go back to the podcast just for a second, because now that you're doing an episode a month, it's still not putting out a lot of content, but at the beginning, you didn't have necessarily a quota. You just whenever I have a good story is when I have a good story. Correct. So now you're on an episode a month, and I'm always worried about this, but I haven't had it. And I don't need names. Just, have you ever had someone come on that, and it's kind of painful, but and in a good way, like, because you're rooting for them, where the guy has a good story, they're just not a storyteller. Someone who's not talking much. You feel like you're pulling the story out of them rather than just the opposite, which kind of what you want is just get out of the way and let them talk.
It's a good question. For me, no, I pre-select for that on the front end. So if you're not a good talker, then that's not going to be fun for people to listen to. But I've had a couple that I am not going to put out. And I won't say who. And like just to, I guess so. We were talking about the Sentinel Foundation, and it's unfortunate because this is one of the ones that I won't put out just yet. But for people that aren't familiar with Sentinel, like check them out. They do amazing stuff, and for me,
save kids all over the world.
So people in this world have all sorts of different skill sets, right? Yeah. You have guys like you with your background that can go actually pick those kids up. You have people that have done really well in life financially that they can donate to make those operations happen. And then you have people with growing platforms like myself who can have people on to talk about the mission, and that drives help, to the doors.
Absolutely.
So that was my intent, and I had somebody related to Sentinel and overall like the child rescue. I don't even know what like the nonprofit space, I guess, on to tell their story, and the shit that this person has seen. Over a very long period of time, they were having some sleep problems at the time, and it just wasn't their best day. So what I'll say is this, man, like the title and, the views would have been there, but that would have done that person a disservice.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that would have put it out anyway, because it had a cool background professionally, similar to yours. And, but so that I hope that we get to re-record that sometime in the future. But there's been stuff like that where I don't put it out for the sake of the guest, because I don't want to make my guests look bad. And I think that a lot of people will do that for views. They're happy to have some people on and be combative with them and pick them apart and have it be a bad look for them. And under certain circumstances, that's fine. But I'm very protective of making it a good look for my guests. And like, I try to do that. I try to make people, I think you can attest to this, I try to make people look as good as possible.
Absolutely. I think most people would put out that, but put it out under the guise of it's good enough.
Yes.
Good enough. Send it. I'll worry about the next episode.
It's the best way to say it.
And, but you won't do that. It's the best or nothing. I will say this, and I feel for him because I get it. It's not bragging. It's just trying to be self-aware. I do feel like I'm wired a little bit different than people. Death and destruction just doesn't bother me as much. I just view it differently. I don't think that all life is precious. I don't think bad guys' life are precious, and there are even times if you're innocent, but things happen in war, bombs get dropped. If you're associated with bad guys, then that association is there for me. But let me tell you, working with the Sentinel Foundation and seeing bad things happen to kids, it gets me. Like it. I almost feel like to a degree, see if I can even describe this right. But sometimes when something's lacking over here, like it gets added over here. So if someone's like equal over here, they're kind of equal over here. But sometimes if it's uneven here, it's because there's more happening over there. I don't know how to really describe it. But there's just something about, I don't think it's unusual, but I think any good man sees something bad happen to a young, innocent kid. It takes everything in me not to rage out and murder people with my hands. Like that's that part of the Sentinel Foundation and rescuing kids is actually the hardest part about that.
The restraint.
The restraint.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I think about those things way more than I think about combat.
Yeah.
So I feel for him, and I get that,
dude. And I hope we do get to re-record it. And I'll say, like, that interview alone, like, in just the stuff that he told me offline, not even this, because, like, as I think you know what I'm getting at, like, people can't know the full extent, because then it's too much.
Right.
It's too much for them to know.
right?
And so some of the stuff he told me offline, man, like that honestly shifted my worldview a little bit. And like it stuck, like I was out of sorts for like 2 weeks after. I'm not gonna lie, like it sounds dramatic, but it just, again, with kids, there's no gray, it's black and white. And it makes you think, if there's that level of evil, like inexplicable evil in the world, then that just opens so many other doors that it gets you thinking about the state of things. And like it fucked me up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
and it should. But actually, I agree with you. And you really can't tell the complete truth, because people aren't ready for it, or it's just so grotesque. They're like, man, I can't, it's overwhelming. I can't listen to it. And they actually won't even get the whole story. So you have to even walk this tightrope of what will jar them enough to wake them up about what's going on in this world, but not so much where it's too much for them.
Exactly.
It's tough. It's post-military. Nothing's been more rewarding than that, and nothing's been more like devastating than that in the same realm. Have you had a guest on where, obviously, you're not going to have a guest on that you're not sure of, but he impressed you as far as like, I thought this was his story, and then, man, after I got done talking to him, I didn't even with my research, I didn't realize how great of a story this was. Have you ever had that?
Dude, well, you know what? Like it's Josh, who is our new mutual friend, but it's only because Josh has never done really any interviews aside from your podcast, but he didn't talk about his time at the unit. And the same with Iron Sights when he did that one. He didn't talk about his time in the military at all. So typically I'm not surprised, because I've done so much front end research and I've watched all the interviews. I've read people's books. Nothing's really going to shock me unless it's something that they haven't told publicly. But man, Josh, I think, does not give himself enough credit for how good of a talker he is. And not like a storyteller. He is a really good storyteller, but that's one of the things he said to me. He's like, man, like I'm not one of those guys that could sit down and like tell a 30-minute war story and like hang on every detail. And I think that he, in my opinion, improved himself wrong. But the conversation that we had, like, it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's very different, but it's the stuff that people want to hear. Yeah. But it's not like ops and chest beating, but it'll most certainly scratch your itch. And we talk about things that like just haven't been discussed on podcast. Dude, I just, and again, this just happened. And like, I really like Josh. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the time that I got to spend with him, and he's just a solid man. And I'm really looking forward to putting that out. And, but that surprised me, because he did not really, and he's another guy. He doesn't want to talk about himself, which I get. Even though he's got an amazing story, it's not always, you don't always want to tell it.
Right.
But I think that, and he'll see it when he reads the comments too. And it was awesome.
I think enough of Josh. I think enough of Josh Burton. I'll say I didn't have a good night's sleep last night, and I didn't take another guy who just gives. He could have done anything. Like, and he wants to start a product that's for like mental clarity, helping people with their sleep, clean energy, because he chose a business that he thought is good for people. Way better than me. That cigars, coffee, and bourbon. I'm just using people for their vices. And Josh Burton's out there making the world a better place.
Well, that's why we got one of each of you, right?
We even each other out. So yeah, I almost always take his night ops sleepy tea, and I didn't, and I paid the price for it. But so he worked for Tesla. He did all sorts of cool things post military, and he's just a great guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait for that episode, because I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna get that up there actually for Josh. I'm gonna watch it because it's funny. we'll take Kyle Morgan, for example. Good friends with Kyle. I didn't know most of the things that happened in Kyle's career until I watched him on the Sean Ryan show.
Wow.
And I was like, I actually didn't know Kyle even did all that, because we're just always so busy with what we're doing. I barely, in a decade, I barely saw Kyle. And, I watched him on the Sean Ryan show, and I feel bad as a friend. Like, how did I not know that about my friend? I even interviewed, Josh, but we did at the time, he wanted the interview to be a certain style, which I had no problem with. And I really can't wait to watch his podcast with you so I can learn about my friend. I worked a handful of times with DJ Shipley, and I didn't know any of DJ's war stories until I watched him on the Sean Ryan show. So it's funny, like when we get together, we don't tell war stories. So we don't know that much about each other in combat as you think we would. So I think it's a real, I don't know, I think that's something, I think that would surprise people that we don't really talk about it between each other. So of course we have a hard time talking about it to someone else. We don't even talk about it to each other.
Yeah. Well, is it a thing where it's so regular to you that it's just the job? You know what I mean?
Right. The only thing we're talking about usually is something stupid, that like something funny that happened on target, because I mean, they want to impress another Delta. It seems like it, like, okay, cool story. You be like a roofer telling another roofer, like, hey, man, I had this really tough roofing job. Like, yeah, I have one every day. I'm a roofer in Florida.
Right.
It just seems like, one, you're not going to impress him. Two, you're not going to tell him anything that he hasn't lived.
Right.
So outside of stupid things, falling on things, surprising people in closets, stealing shoes, we don't steal anything. Misplacing shoes, just the left shoe, not both of them. Yeah. You can get more shoes that way. Things like that are really what we talk about.
When did you work with DJ? Was that in the military or afterwards?
Post-military. We both worked at a company called Velocity Training, and we were training the 2-4 and CQB. I was actually a program manager for them when I first got out, and his resume came across my desk, and I was like, yeah, he's a SEAL Team 6 guy. I'll take him on. I'll see if he's busy for this contract, because the contract required 2 guys from Greene and 2 guys from Blue. And so it just randomly came across my desk. And that was the first time I worked with him. And after that, and that's why I'm friends with DJ to this day, and why I'm a big fan of him, because super knowledgeable guy. There's how much he enjoyed instructing and giving knowledge back to the next generation. He was easy to work. He was a professional. Never had to worry about him. Not that you would think you'd have to worry about, but some guys kind of check out sometimes, like after their military, especially when you're just retired. You might get a guy that's not a little bit wore out, and he's just doing it for a paycheck. That DJ went above and beyond everything. And after that, I actually reached out to the guy. Anytime I had a CQB contract, I wanted DJ there. Like, DJ, you want to do this one with me? Because I really enjoyed it.
Dude, that Sean Ryan interview that he did was like, oh my God, that's got to be top 3 for me. Like the amount of balls that guy showed by just laying it bare. I don't think people, I guess people do, but like I don't know. It's hard to comprehend like what that actually, like that's really difficult to do, man. And because you will get people that say things. Yeah. But oh my God, that was unbelievable.
I think what happens is there's a little bit of a weird transition, and we'll use, I think DJ's a good example of it, where he gets out and he's initially accepted because he was a former Tier 1 guy that looks the part, talks the part, is the part, and then GBRS and just almost him as an individual gets famous. And now he's kind of famous for being DJ and for being instructor. And his name now kind of overshadows his past. Before, his past got him there, and they kind of know his name because of his past. Now he's such a big name in the community. They start to forget this guy was an absolute killer. this guy took the brunt of the GWAT. He's not just like some YouTube famous guy or some instructor that knows how to shoot. Like, do not forget, don't ever let his name overshadow the reason why you really know his name. The guy went to Iraq and Afghanistan, served in the highest levels, did everything, walks the walk, talks the talk, and he deserves everything good that's going for him. I think people start to forget a little bit. Like, they kind of remember that, but it should never be kind of remembered. That it should always be connected to who he is because of the things he's done.
Yeah. I mean, never met him, never talked to him, but absolute stud of a guy, and props to him for doing what he did and saying what he said on that episode of that show. But it's funny, man. We were talking about it last night. It's like a story arc as old as time. People like you in the beginning, and then when you get too big for comfort, then they want to tear you down. It's like, it's so predictable, and if you know that, then you can't let it bother you. But
absolutely, it's almost the we'll call it the Nickelback theory. Everybody loves you until you get too big, then everyone wants to see you fall.
Wow. Well, Nickelback fucks, for the record. You don't hear that very often. I'll go out on a limb and say it. I might get crucified for that, but I don't care.
I've never understood the Nickelback hate. Never got on the train, and
I like them.
I like them. Went to a. Not doing it. Not telling the story again. I've even been injured at a Nickelback concert, and it didn't take away. It didn't take away the experience. I was so glad I went.
There you go.
Was 2025 your first full year doing a podcast? I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get. Well, no, not technically, but it was the first year of like where I've tried to lay out some consistent schedule
with
one
consistency.
A month. Prior to that, I was doing. I think I did like 3 or 4. The prior year.
All right. So what is 2026 hold for you? So I know. I feel like I know. You're a goal guy because you already told me that your goal, you set a lofty goal of 500,000. You're like, but I'll never hit it, and then you did. So are you continuing with goals? What's your next goal?
Yeah, I mean, I told you, by the lofty subscriber count goal is 1 million by the end of the year, but truly, like, I don't even think of it that way, man. Like, what's gotten me to this point is just trying to continuously improve with everything that I put out, and like think about putting one foot in front of the other and making something better every time, and just like doing the best that I possibly can. So I really don't think about it in that way, but the goal is to get to the point, hopefully at some point this year, where I can get into a position to hire somebody so that I can start cranking the volume out more. Yeah. Because one a month is not acceptable forever, you know? And it's just a matter of not wanting to compromise. Yeah. There's good people out there. And if you're one of those good people, please reach out to me. And I would love to have you. But
how do they reach out to you?
Email Dalton at daltonfisherpodcast.com. Instagram DMs I'll respond to. But yeah, that's the goal, man. I want to turn it into more of a machine where I can get to the point of just sitting down with somebody and then passing all the other stuff off to somebody else, for the most part.
I know you don't want to hear this, but it's true. Like you're getting to that level, and you will be at that level where your Rolodex, if you will really open up. Who would be, if you could have anyone on your podcast, who would you have on? Or even a top 3, like this guy, this guy, this guy.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this last night. So Jordan Peterson is up there for sure. I would love to have Jordan Peterson. I've been listening to a lot of Robert Greene stuff lately, who I really enjoy. And dude, like, of course I want Sean on the show. That would be the top 3 I'll give you right now. He knows that. I think he knows that he's got an open invite. He knows he's got an invite, but it's open. Okay. Just to clarify.
Yeah. That invite we had talked about is still open.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have a list. I mean, I have a list of people that I would love to have on, and it's far and wide, from like astrophysicists to like all over the place. You know. Yeah. There's a lot of amazing people in the world for sure.
I believe you stayed out of politics.
Yes.
Is that intentional?
Yes.
Or okay? Would you not have? I'm not this particular one, but only because it's kind of a hot subject right now. Would you have a Dan Crenshaw on? Maybe not Dan, regardless of what people think about him. Mm-hmm. But would you have a politician on? A politician that Mike Waltz would be a good one. You know, former Green Beret, congressman. served in the cabinet of Trump, but are you trying to intentionally staying clear of politics?
It's intentional for mostly the reason that it's just really not as interesting to me.
Okay.
And I think that when you do dip your toe into that pool, you start to get put in a box.
Yeah.
And I don't want that just because it's not my interest. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah, I would have Crenshaw on my show. Like, would love to ask him some questions, just like anybody would. I'm sure you would too. So I'm not opposed to it, but it's got to be the right fit for me. And yeah, it's got to be the right fit for me.
Okay. How about athletes? What do you thought?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Just
If I got a good story.
yeah, right.
But that's the thing, dude. Like, I say this all the time. Your average police officer, your average firefighter, I'd rather sit and have a conversation with them than I would some A-list celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you and I going to talk about? Honestly, if you have a good story and you're a good person and you're and that's another like pre-selection that I do, you have to be a good person to come on my show, or I have to think so at least.
Yeah. Yeah. You've had the 9/11 firefighter on your show.
He's an amazing person, man. Tim Brown.
We of course, you being from the area and me being first responder focused, and because I joined the military on 9/11, we hung out at O'Hara's just this last 9/11. We had a bourbon release party there.
That was awesome.
Those guys, I'm telling you, and whether it be the firefighters, that the boys down at Rescue 2, ESU, just. New York City is so weird because I hate its politics so much, and I love the people that do the dirty work of that city so much, and they're in the same town. You can't separate them, and they're proud New Yorkers.
They're not the same though,
and they're proud New Yorkers. But yeah. Oh, they're not the same.
Yeah,
but they do have the commonality of all being proud of being New York, but for different reasons.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but I love them. All right, Dalton, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I enjoyed just hanging out with you.
Me too, man. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. It's great to have some cigars with you.
If anyone's interested, be prepared for a massive surge in subscriptions coming from our show. So let them know where to find you.
Dalton Fischer Podcast on YouTube. I also just started putting video on Spotify, if that's your thing. And then I got all the short form stuff, Instagram, TikTok. It's all Dalton Fischer Podcast.
All right. Thanks so much. And I'll see you in New York in just a few months.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.